After playing through Control not long ago, I finally sat down the other night with the game again to get started on the first expansion, The Foundation. I've gotten through just the first couple of hours so far, and it looks like I have quite a bit to go. The Foundation mission showed up at some point during the main game. I started off by heading straight for the hotline chamber where I received a message from the board. They described a threat to the oldest house itself, rooted in its lowest levels, literally the foundation of the building. To enter the Foundation, I needed to travel back to one of the most unique-looking areas of the game. Amongst the endless columns that seemed to support the building above me, a new door had appeared. This led me to a labyrinthine system of underground tunnels and caverns. I soon came across remnants of habitation, familiar text files and audio logs scattered around the area introducing a new, or rather previous, head of research, tasked with living in and exploring the Foundation and solving its mysteries. There was mention of Director Northmore, as well as the discovery of the service weapon, and a previous Director Ash. The story appears to be going back in time so far, building out more history of the Bureau. There were files on a new AWE, the Meteor Hill incident, its significance not yet clear. A little further along, I discovered a shattered obelisk, with a makeshift research camp nearby on the edge of a massive cavern that extended into the darkness. This was apparently the location where the service weapon was originally discovered. Interacting with the obelisk threw me into the astral plane and a familiar challenge utilizing new abilities. This time, there was a choice between a weapon capable of destroying the crystal outcroppings that characterized the caverns of the Foundation, and an ability allowing me to manipulate certain formations of the crystal to damage enemies or create platforms to reach otherwise unreachable places. I'd already come across a few chests protected by this crystal I couldn't access, but having favored ability use in the game so far, I chose the ability. Aside from moment-to-moment gameplay of using the ability or weapon, this choice didn't seem terribly significant. The areas in the Foundation are designed with branching paths of entry, requiring one ability or the other, but either path likely leads to the same core areas, and I expect I'll be able to gain access to both options before long. With the key to dive deeper, I continued my quest to find the 4 separate sites to repair the Foundation and appease the board. Battles were sporadic, but it was quickly clear this area was kicking up the intensity. It reminded me the most of the Jukebox expeditions, with high-level enemies soaking up damage and taking huge chunks out of my life bar when landing an attack. Environments were frequently tight, claustrophobic, and a new enemy type called the Hiss Sharpened appeared that could evade gunfire, move quickly into melee range, and throw their weapons at me when I tried to create distance. While I was busy with them, snipers would take high-damage shots at me from afar. I died multiple times across a couple encounters, which is more than I died from combat in the entirety of the base game. I think I found a few new types of mods from the various combat sequences, but they seemed pretty lackluster compared to the still critical mods for damage, energy, and healing. Despite the moments of combat, the majority of my first couple hours were spent exploring and climbing a substantial elevator shaft that stretched up and up with encircling tunnels in the rock around it that allowed me to climb higher even when the next level of the shaft itself was blocked or unreachable. I encountered a couple new puzzle types. Some walls could be destroyed, revealing hidden areas. There was also a sequence in the uppermost levels of the elevator where I passed some hissed nodes while quickly ascending to the top floor. I found I could stop the elevator at will to destroy these. On my first attempt, I actually killed myself from firing charge in close quarters, which seemed the only way I could destroy the nodes that were hidden behind fencing. Turned out I could just melee them, which proved much safer. Completing this challenge led to an unusual item appearing at the top of the elevator shaft. I was able to collect this, but I have no idea what it did yet. This was probably the most interesting element I'd encountered so far and was fairly well hidden. Having reached the top of this climb, there was a pretty brutal fight involving a hiss distorted that kept appearing right on top of me and nearly immediately reducing me to like 1 health. Dealing with that and a swarm of the new melee enemies that could finish me off with a single bump took me a few tries. There's a hidden area here behind a wall with a control point that would be rough to miss if you end up needing to respawn. With that complete, I'd reached the end of this particular spoke of the area. I repaired the first of the 4 critical items, which the game literally refers to as MacGuffins, and it seems I now need to double back to base camp and see what's next. If there are 4 of these items to find and the first took a couple of hours, I expect this extra area will run me about 8 hours total. The map looks fairly large. I hope there's a little bit more to it than I've seen so far, both in gameplay and story, but it's been fun to have more control to play. And that's about it for now. I'll be back soon with the next chunk of this adventure. In the meantime, say hello down in the comments. Thanks so much for tuning in, and as always, until next time, take care.